Welcome to the Daily Agenda. Interesting tour of Poland by little Tommy Robinson as he attempted to wash away the shame of his humiliation ritual in Israel. Didn't quite succeed though, did he? Because in actual fact, all it did is heaped up even more contradictions and hypocrisy and answers which he just doesn't like, obviously. I think the most notable thing that came out of the trip to Poland was the revelation that it's 98% white. And there was Tommy strolling down the street with his chief horse-lickers, Liam Tufts, and Don Keith, and there was even the pipe grease boy, Paul Tufts, Paul Thorpe at one stage. I've forgotten his name, so relevant. And there they were. And Ant Middleton, don't forget him. He was there to honour his Polish grandfather. We'll get to that one later. Yes, always seems to be. They've always got either an Irish grandfather or a Polish grandfather or a Jewish grandfather somewhere lurking around, haven't they, these people? Notice that. They're never truly, fully English. You notice that with all of these people. Perhaps that in itself explains something on a deeper level as to why they support the things that they do. However, yes, they were strolling along saying, isn't it wonderful? There's no crime here. No, because Poland exported all of its criminals to England, didn't it? I think the statistics at one time proved that it had. And in fact, there was a Polish murderer in Nottingham prison who gloated to other prisoners about how sweet it felt when he stuck in the bladed article to do the job. Yes, of course, Dominic Toginski also gloated about it. Yes, we have very little crime here, because we don't have illegal immigration. And, well, no, that's not true at all, is it? It's not true at all, because Poland, British prisons were absolutely infested with Polish prisoners and Romanians at one time. In fact, I think so that they still are, in truth. So that's the reason why Poland has very little crime, because it's kicked out most of its criminals to Britain. That's why Britain is in such a dire mess, is because it's accepted all the trash of Europe. It's not just the rest of the world. No, it's the European Union, EU citizens, for want of a better description. I've encountered loads of them, particularly in London, and can hardly say I was impressed with 99% of them, quite frankly. So be like Poland? No, absolutely not. I would never want to be like Poland. The statistic in itself, 98% white, well, that's an interesting point, isn't it? I don't think Poland is 98% white, from what I've been told by real Polish nationalists, that is, not these daft sibnats around Dominic Toginski. And they tell a totally different story. In fact, there's a Polish nationalist on X who will tell you a totally different story about what's really happening in Poland. But there you go. But yes, they were strolling around. Oh, it's lovely here, it's wonderful, yeah, it's 98% white, there's almost no crime, there's hardly any litter, but isn't it wonderful, they all said. These are the people who are totally opposed to Britain becoming a 95% white supermajority. Now, let's just cast our minds back a few days ago to Tommy's shaming ritual in Israel. And he was asked about white people at Britain. Oh, it's not white people, he said. Not white people. So there's a massive inherent contradiction at work there, isn't there? It's not white people. No, the British aren't white people. This is the man who said repeatedly that most of my friends, Gaffney, aren't even white, is it? Like, you know what I mean? With his fake Mockney accent. But there he is in Poland celebrating 98% whiteness as the responsibility for very low crime and also zero illegal immigration. Well, the simple truth is, as I explained earlier, Poland has very little crime because it deported all of its criminals here and elsewhere. That's a commonly known fact. All of these, in fact, there was at one time a racket going on whereby Polish criminals would be deported from here back to Poland, and then they would fly back into Dublin. Yes, that's right, Dublin, a place Tommy loves close to his heart because he's Irish with an Irish passport, isn't he? That's right, another one who's not truly English. He's Irish, Pat, even though the Irish can't stand him, but Sorry, I just can't help but mock them, because that's what they are. They're just a source of mockery. How any intelligent person takes these people seriously defies rational belief. But then we all know it's not intelligent people that take them seriously, is it? It's people who just can't pay attention to basic, elementary facts and evidence. And so, yes, and they were coming back into Britain via Dublin. Yes, quite the racket, wasn't it? So what does Dominic Czarczynski have to say about that? We should take back all of our Polish criminals from England, from all over the UK. I didn't hear him say that once, and there are thousands of them here. Okay? Why haven't they been deported? Why haven't they been sent back? Why doesn't Poland want them back? Oh, it's perfectly happy for Britain to pay for the expense of their imprisonment. In fact, I met a Polish crook in HMP Nottingham, where I was on remand for hurty words. That's right, thought crime, a non-crime, a total non-crime incident. Okay, thought crime is non-crime of any description. And this Polish guy said, "This is terrible." You know, he said, "This country has put me in prison for 2 years." And I was like, "What crime did you commit?" They said, burglary in Derby. I said, "So in Poland, you're given a medal, a reward for burglary, are you? You don't get any jail time at all." No, not at all. I'm just saying that, this guy came to this country full of hope. Oh, yeah. Same old usual suspects waffle. Came to this country full of hope. This country treated me so badly because I burgled someone's home and they put me in prison for 2 years. Well, boo-hoo for fucking you. Go back to Poland. Okay? That's my attitude on it. In fact, I threw him out of the cell the next morning at 8 o'clock on the dot. And told him the night before to get his bag packed and be ready for departure at 8 o'clock. And that's exactly what happened. He'd already been ejected from 14 cells before they dumped him in with me. And this is the point that I'm making, is like Poland does have low crime because it's criminals across the whole of Europe, particularly in Britain. That's nothing to do with some pseudo-nationalist movement led by Dominic Czarczynski, that is, or zero illegal immigration. This is just a salient fact that Dominic needs to get to grips with. And Tommy, of course, and when they start talking about a united Christian Europe, well, yes, Christians, cocaine, addiction, using hookers, robbing people for donations, lying, cheating, conniving, threatening old women, using little cowardly fanboys to threaten to rape my fiancée. Do you get the picture? It's all, it's so typically consistent with Christian behaviour, isn't it? Selling transgender sex toys, Liam Gillett, yes. It's entirely consistent with Christian behaviour. That religion is a cesspit of perversion, theft, grifting, and immorality and amorality since the dawn of time. In fact, it's the biggest grift in human history, isn't it? So yes, of course, the biggest grifters, in human history want to resurrect the supremacy. That's right, the supremacy of the corrupt, institutionally corrupt Christian church to replace the institutionally corrupt globalists and to stop the fundamentalist Muslims from taking over. That's quite some choice, isn't it? Or is it no choice? And of course, Czarczynski is another Trump nutter, another Zog puppet, a total fan of Israel, another wall licker, and the list just goes on. The list goes on. So if Tommy thought going to Poland would wash away the shame of his humiliation ritual in Israel, he was gravely mistaken. Because in Poland, we saw this absolutely crushing act of hypocrisy, which left him with nowhere to hide. He endorses a 98% white Poland, but he hates against people like me and other ethno-nationalists for wanting a 95% white supermajority. Does this clown actually realise the extent of the massive mistakes that he's actually made in the last 3 weeks which are going to be held against him now at every single opportunity. And as for Tommy being a Christian, goodness me, get real. I've never seen any Christian devotion on his part in any way, shape or form. Same with Gilliam Gillett. Think a little head dipping in a river turns them into a Christian, does it? You're better off going and dipping your head in the sink. Full of dirty water from washing the pot. That's more likely to turn you into a Christian than some, I don't know, some polluted river. I mean, come on. Honestly, really. I mean, I know genuine Christians, and they don't live their lives like this at all. And they frown upon people who do. But my bone of contention with that religion is that they just accept all of these trash through the door and don't say anything about it and just offer them redemption and forgiveness. I don't. Absolutely not. I just can't buy into that ever. And truly what came out of this, and we have to thank little Robinson for this because he's such a dimwit, and his fanboys are not particularly bright either, are they? Let's be honest. Is that they all endorsed a 98% white supermajority in Poland. So now they have to endorse a 95% white supermajority in Britain, don't they? Of course they won't, will they? And this is where we've got them by the short and curlies. So thanks Tommy and Liam and Ant and all the other centre-right daydreamers, because you just made our lives so much easier. Thank you for tuning into the Daily Agenda. See you soon.